Hi guys, my name's Jackson.
Hi, Jaxson.
Here, I want to talk about peace and solitude. Dallas, you look like you have some peace and solitude. Any words?
No.
Okay. Let's begin by talking about the state of our minds. It's a bit of an analogy. Somewhere out there, somebody exists. We'll call him Bob. Bob has an iPhone 15 Pro with black titanium and 256 gigabytes of storage. Bob likes Instagram Reels a lot. He has friends, but he doesn't see them very often outside of school or church. So what does he do? He watches more Instagram Reels. He does pass the time, but lately Bob's been noticing something. When he's at church or school, he has a real hard time focusing. He can look up for a moment to talk to his friends, but more often than not, you'll find his eyes are glued to his iPhone 15 Pro with black titanium and 256 gigabytes of storage. Bob calls himself a happy fellow. Bob, he really does think that he's living the good life, but on occasions where his social interactions don't go like he planned, he ends up pretty sad. Bob wonders why he couldn't be as cool and as interesting as he wanted to be, because when he talks, his conversations are stilted and redundant, and when he plays games, he can't find himself in the zone, and when he prays, he doesn't. It's strange, too, with all the thoughts whizzing through his head. Surely he should be able to make a conversation, but alas, Bob remains confused, boring, and maidenless. Good thing he has a company of Instagram Reels and his iPhone 15 Pro with black titanium and 256 gigabytes of storage. Bob, between you and me, guys, Bob sounds a little bit too relatable. His head is in the clouds, and much like the clouds in the school bathrooms, it makes it a little hard to focus. Your mindset shifts. Why put an effort if you could just watch your Reels or TikTok, or even, if you're very desperate, YouTube Shorts? Here's something that sucks. That cloudiness, the kind we get when we haven't been living right, gets in the way of your prayer life too. So what do we want? Probably not what Bob has. Nobody wants to be a Bob. So many of us, so many of you, and sometimes even me, we already are. What is it that we're missing out on? Have you ever thought about the best version of yourself? You probably see someone with more friends than you or more happiness, and hopefully someone who's got a good relationship with God. Whatever you envision, I seriously doubt that person is on their phone every morning watching Instagram Reels. And I doubt that person puts God second in life, because the best life we could ever live is one where we put God first. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek first the kingdom of God above all else, and live righteously, and He will give you everything you need." So we need God, and we know that. You've been hearing about that for weeks. We know we need God. So it's really hard to know God without a clear head, without any peace. You ever tried praying if all you've done all day is watch TikTok? It's sort of hard. You're starting there, and you're going pretty good, and then a meme pops in your head. It really does mess with you. Or even worse, you think of the people that you're not talking to. You think of the drama at school that you've been a little too invested in. And you don't think about God when you don't have a clear mind. So how do we get a clearer mind? I'm going to chalk it down to 3 easy steps. Number 1, get good sleep. Without it, focusing is nearly impossible. Let's face it, you on 2 hours of sleep is probably not as good as you on 10. If you can go for 12, do that. I commend you. 14, see a doctor. Drink water. That's number 2. Drink water. We all love it. Or some of that little Prime Energy powder that we had out there. That's nice too. Yeah, Prime is great. And eat good food, Maybe not McDonald's every day. I've heard that it, apparently makes you die really fast. It's not great. Yeah. And number 3, this is the most relevant one. Keep that screen time down. All those distractions, they fog the brain the most. You think about everything that doesn't really matter, but you've convinced yourself it does. And it is the number one thing I've found that gets in the way of a clear mind when you're trying to pray to God. The weekend I spent staying up late, eating cookies all night, and doom scrolling YouTube shorts was much, much worse than the weekend I spent resting, reading, and eating some vegetables or something. Hopefully that second weekend that I listed is next weekend, but it wasn't last one. And once you're on the right path here, you can be a lot more effective as you go out and live a godly life and apply the messages you've been hearing for the last few weeks with more efficiency. Romans 12, 1 and 2 says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all He has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind He will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship Him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect."